Everybody get up!
And welcome back to the Friday edition of the Lance Roberts Show. And I'm Rich Rosso, certified financial planner. Happy to be with you here today with co-pilot Brent Clanton.
Morning.
Do you get to up 3:30 on the weekends too?
Yes. Well, not on Sunday. Sundays, I get to sleep late.
You sleep until 6?
6.
Wow.
Sometimes 6:30 if the dog lets me.
Sophie's not going to let you do that. If I sleep till 7, my whole day is wrecked. It sounds weird, but it's once the sun's up, I'm like, holy, I might as well go back to bed. It's nighttime. It's weird because to get up so early. So 6 o'clock is my absolute latest.
People
that
like
I'm
us,
getting up.
We get more done before 9 in the morning than
Absolutely.
most folks do, before 2 in the afternoon.
Well, and there are a lot of studies that show that your most productive hours are sometimes in that morning, although there are night owls. But when it's quiet and there's not many people around and you can write and do some work,
the phones don't ring.
It's just a lot better. Well, we were talking about target date funds, and if you are in accumulation or you have, say, 10 to 20 years to retirement, you still don't want to go by that target date. However, you can play with the dates a little bit, cut them short, only because you are in a very expensive market. And what we've been writing about at Real Investment Advice is that doesn't mean that the market's going to fall apart tomorrow. It means that future returns on risk assets like stocks are going to be much less. So why take the risk? So cut the year. If you are close to retirement, a target date fund might be the worst thing you can do because you might be too aggressive at a time when you're going to be moving into what I call distribution mode, right? You're going to need to recreate a paycheck. So you're not going to be putting more money into your plan. You're going to be looking to take money out. Therefore, you don't want anything that's going to derail the plan. And if you are in 70 or 80% equities and you do get a correction or a bear market, the first, say, 5 to 10 years in retirement, and you're taking money out, that's going to affect the longevity of your portfolio. So you want to take it out of a target date fund and look at your other choices. You'll have what we call a stable value. You'll have a short-term income. You might have just an S&P index. If you need help reallocating, you can do it through the 401k manager. But if you have a special situation and you are close to retirement, you can send us a question, send us your choices at realinvestmentadvice.com, and we will help you to reallocate your plan for whatever your needs happen to be. So one of these rites of passage for your children is a summer job. And I remember when my daughter Haley started her summer job at 16, it was a big deal because there are certain things that you don't want to let go as this rite of passage happens, right? Some money ideas that I will give you that will help you to set them off on the right path, but also make a memory that you'll never forget. So you want to celebrate what I call this wrap up from payout to paycheck. So most likely you've had this long-standing allowance agreement at home. You've been teaching these basics, and what I call the basics are save, share, spend, right? And because you're helping your child formulate a money discipline. Right? But now you have to revisit that discussion because this addition of sweat equity, right? Your child going into the workforce adds another dimension to it to save, share, spend. So you want to have a big picture talk and you want to talk about how take-home pay is allocated. So I always say it's time for a celebration, maybe an informal setting. Let your child share their thoughts around save, share, spend now that they're working a few weeks or starting a new job. Guide the conversation, provide reinforcement for good ideas, create these memories around how proud you are on the transition from payout to paycheck. When my daughter got her first job, I think it was at HEB, we had a celebration because she's had like so many jobs, but when she started young, but I believe it was HEB, and I said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about how you're going to save more money and so forth. But we did it at Mellow Mushroom because that was her favorite place, right? So you're doing what I call a level 2 triple S protocol. Yeah, nope, it's not a new Mission Impossible movie, although that would be a cool name, Brent. How do I email Tom Cruise? Let me put that on my list. Okay, what I mean by that is you're taking this save, share, spend to the next level, right? It's this rite of passage, and it's a way for you to really dive into, well, even new partners. And what do I mean by new partners? There's another interested party that is interested in your child's success. It's the IRS. Taxes are now a consideration, right? So, and as an employee, your child is going to complete a W-4 to indicate the correct amount of tax to be withheld from each paycheck. So, for say, for example, for 2019, you don't need, or your child doesn't need, a tax return if their filings are in excess of $12,200, right? Standard deduction or 12. So keep this in mind. I felt very comfortable when my daughter got a job to write exempt on line 7 of the W-4 as a dependent, because she probably wasn't going to exceed that number. Now, we did withhold taxes, but I will tell you, I don't think that was a good idea. And I'll tell you why. I think that's a lazy way to do it. I think if you look at the standard deduction, try to figure out intelligently what your child is going to make, there is no reason for your child to give an interest-free loan to the government. That's the last lesson you want to give them. So you got to really fine-tune the taxes. I find that parents are unsure on how to guide their kids with taxes, so they just say, okay, listen, withhold the taxes just to be safe. You'll get the money back. Again, it's not an optimum financial decision and an example. The next thing is you want to fund what I call a custodial Roth IRA. And if you hear us a lot here, and I'll listen and read our writings, we talk a lot and write a lot about custodial or Roth IRAs, where you place money in after tax and the money grows, or the earnings grow, tax-free. Imagine when you were 16, 17 years old, that if you were able to start a retirement account that would allow your earnings to grow tax-free, you have the ability to do that, or your child does, through a custodial Roth IRA. So the maximum for 2019 is $6,000. So even if you invested it conservatively, say, okay, I'm going to put $1,500 in here. Say I'm going to earn 4% roughly. That has the potential to be worth over $11,000 tax-free by the time your child reaches, say, retirement age, 67 years old. So the summer job is an experience, and you're going to want, again, to monitor where your child is, what your child's doing with cash. And I'll give you an example, because I know what I did. This is what I call a cash flow exercise, right? Now that the kids are making money, they're going to want to spend it. They're going to want to buy stuff. And I will tell you, when I had one of my first jobs at a retailer, my retailer, great company, big company, would tell me, hey, well, my first job was actually working in a delivering newspapers, but I'm giving you an idea of what I think would happen. Most kids today are not out there throwing papers, right? They're not on a bicycle and throwing newspapers anymore. That's a lost art. But they might be working for a retailer. Or
what's a newspaper? That's their question.
What's a paper?
There's nothing to throw anymore.
There's some stuff to throw. But if you throw your phone, you're going to hurt somebody, right? Because that's where you're getting your news. But you might say your child's going to work for Macy's or another retailer, right? Or HEB. Well, they might get a discount, right? They're going to get a discount on goods. So guess what they're going to do? They're going to put most of their money back into their employer. So you're going to have to help them to teach them to pay themselves first. That's the cash flow discovery. That's the moment. That's what you want to leave behind. Pay yourself first, save first, and then spend and share. Saving is always the priority. Hey, when we get back, we had a great interview with Gary Collins. I'm going to tell you a little about him, but he lives off the grid. He is like a mountain dude, but he's got some great tips to share with you, and he's one of my idols. So when we get back, we're going to play you some clips from Gary's interview with us here on The Lance Roberts Show. And again, you are listening to Financial Fitness Friday. Lance Roberts, 700 KSTV, the voice of Texas. Stay tuned for our last segment.
Catch Lance Roberts' podcast later at lancerobertsshow.com.